Hello guys, this is Obinna Victor Eze. You're welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now, the Chevening Scholarship, which is presently ongoing, is looking for young leaders who are leaders in their communities or aspiring leaders in their community or professional organization. Now, the scholarship does not just consider your academic qualifications, it also looks at your ability to prioritize leadership, influence, and networking in your workspace. Now, previously, I've made a video on how you can go about applying for the Chevening Scholarship, where I provided a step-to-step guide. You can check that video on the description of this particular video. Now, just go to the description section, check, you see the link to that video, how you can go about applying for the Chevening Scholarship. Now, in this video, I'll be taking us through how you can write a strong Chevening essay for the Chevening Scholarship. I'll be looking specifically at the leadership and influence essay, which is the first essay you will be writing for the Chevening Scholarship. So today we will be talking about how to answer one of the Chevening essays, which is the first essay you would have to answer while filling in the Chevening application. And it is the essay related to leadership and influence. Now, as a general rule, I would always advise before you start applying for the Chevening Scholarship, make sure you visit their website and read about details related to the Chevening Scholarship, eligibility criteria, and everything you need to know is found on their website. There are lots of YouTube videos from past Chevening scholars, those that have attended the interview, succeeded with the applications that you can also learn from. So do well to go on YouTube and watch these videos. They would also help you in your application process. Now, before going on with this video, I would like to give us a general instruction. Before starting your essay for the leadership and influence and other essays for the Chevening Scholarship, do well to give yourself time to write the Chevening essays. Now, Chevening will invest over £2,000 on you, so it is very important you deliver a winning essay. Secondly, winning the Chevening Scholarship is not dependent on you being the best graduating student in your undergraduate study or other degrees you've taken. Writing a winning essay can win you the scholarship even if you graduated with a third class. The most important thing is to make sure you get admitted into a school in the UK that accepts either a 2-2 or a third class. It therefore means that graduating with a first class or a second class upper is not the only thing that would guarantee you a Chevening scholarship, but the essay would help the reviewers to know you as a person, to know the impact you've made over time, and to make their decisions for you based on that and not your academic qualifications. Thirdly, this section will teach us how you would be able to write a winning essay from my own essay or my own experience that led me through the interview stage, from my own experiences and workspace, which I will use to advise you so that it will guide you to relate it to your own personal experience and past education as well as your workspace when you're writing your own essay. Now, just like I mentioned earlier, essay one is about leadership and influence. Chevening searches for applicants who are leaders or aspiring leaders. These leaders scale up after winning the Chevening program to become top leaders in their community, including government leaders, top ministers, founders, and top executives. If you check the history of Chevening, you will see that most of the Cheveners have gone ahead to become influential people in their community. So the Chevening program, they want to see this highlight in your application, how you've been able to influence your community over time as a leader or a person of influence, or how you are aspiring to do that. So are you currently a leader, or are you a potential leader? Now, while filling in the Chevening essay, one of the things I would advise people is to use the STAR method. Now, before we go into that, this is the screen you're seeing now, what you're seeing on my screen now is the Chevening website. I told you earlier, before you start applying, before you click on apply, do well to read all the instructions, eligibility criteria. You can also look at details on what the Chevening reading committee gives as or has given as feedback for past application. So let's quickly look at leadership and influence, what they said about leadership and influence, the essay on leadership and influence. Now, Chevening, they said that Chevening is looking for individuals who will be future leaders or influencers in their home countries. Now, this part of the essay is expecting you to explain how you meet these requirements using clear examples of your own leadership and influencing skills to support your answer. First of all, they are looking at you giving them details on how you have worked as a leader, how you have influenced decisions in maybe an organization, a group in your home country, and tell them how you meet with these requirements. You are going to use clear examples of your own leadership and influencing skills to support these answers. It therefore means that you're just giving them examples of how you've done this over time, which is why I said we'll use the STAR approach or the STAR method, which I would explain later in this video. Now, going about starting answering this question, you don't go about defining what leadership is or giving various theories of leadership or telling us about how to become a great leader or giving examples of great leaders such as telling us about the life history of Martin Luther King or Nelson Mandela and all that. Now, it is your own stage. They want to hear about you. What have you done over time as a young person growing up in your community? What have you done over time? Chevening wants to learn about your experiences as a leader and person of influence in your community. So you have to focus more on the actions you pioneered as an individual, not as a team member in a group. Tell us about your own effort. So you would try using words or statements such as what you did, like I did this, I was able to accomplish this, and not we did this, we were able to accomplish this. They want to see you in their own lens. They want to see you as a person, as an individual, and not a group. According to the Chevening Reading Committee, one of the strengths they look out for is, or as they have stated, is that the best scoring applicants demonstrated clear examples of leadership and influencing with concrete results. So you're giving examples all through this essay. Now, the weaknesses they noticed in most essays that have been submitted for the Chevening Scholarship Review is very few applicants were able to combine successful leadership qualities with evidence. So you don't just go about saying examples of what you did, you have to give them an evidence for them to be able to verify it. Another weakness in ACEs is that some applicants focused on leadership examples from their nearly academic experiences, even their school experiences, rather than examples from their recent or professional or current professional experience, which may have provided more relevant examples of leadership. So another weakness they are noticing is that some applicants go about talking about what they did when they were in school without giving concrete examples what they've done while in their current professional workspace, which they think provides more relevant examples when it comes to leadership. So it's not all about you saying, okay, I was a head boy, I was a prefect when I was in school, and all that. So what about what you've done in your own professional space after your undergraduate study? The next weakness they identified is a significant number seemed to have assumed that occupying a particular position or role was in itself sufficient to demonstrate leadership skills. So they are telling us here that leadership is not all about the position you occupy, but how you've been able to demonstrate certain skills in that position. So they are saying that though detailed instancing of how influence was successfully gained and deployed and the beneficial outcome of these was fairly rare. So you should give them examples of how you demonstrated leadership in specific positions you've occupied. Another weakness they've noticed in essays is that the most common error is students continuing to define leadership rather than provide examples of their traits
and linking them to the degree or post-study work plans. Just like I said earlier, most persons will go about defining what leadership is, giving us theories of leadership or examples of leaders who've been there over time and not talking about themselves. So don't make this error. Give them examples of your own traits as a leader and link it to what you are about studying in school and your plans after school. No, now, as a general recommendation from the Chevening Reading Committee, they said taking more of a STAR approach, which I mentioned earlier. STAR means situation, task, action, and result. STAR, STAR, situation, task, action, and result. So they are recommending you use a STAR approach, which should help you to refine your responses. They are also stating or recommending that applicants should focus less on the collective we and team in this answer and place greater emphasis on their individual contribution to achieve a higher score, just like I said earlier. Focus more on what you did as a person. I did this as an individual, I was able to accomplish this, rather than saying that we as a team or we as a group did this and all that. The next recommendation is examples required more focus in terms of exactly how they led and more notably what were the results of their leadership and how did that have a long-term impact on their professional development. So the examples you're giving should focus on how you've provided leadership, how these leadership skills you've exhibited provided good leadership results or outcome that would impact your professional development or a target group. So these are all about Chevening recommendation when it comes to leadership and influence. So I'll go ahead to give us more details on how you go about answering the Chevening essay when it comes to leadership and influence. Now, using the STAR approach, just like recommended, the STAR approach has about four letters, which is S for situation, T for task, A for action, R for results, and you just follow up your essay with that. Where situation means that you would have to follow up the details, such as describing the situation and when it took place. S in the STAR approach is situation. Describe the situation and when it took place. Still under situation, the next thing you need to do is the situation could be an identified problem, it could be an event, it could be a task, or it could be an experience that you've had over time around your personal work. Still on situation, you will have to also identify the target population affected or involved. If it's a problem you've identified, what is the target population affected, who is involved, you would have to state them under this situation part of your essay. Also, in the situation part of your essay, you should use detailed statistics and data to explain this situation. Let me say you have a problem in your community where there is lack of water. Now, I'm using this as an instance where there is lack of water, and for someone who took a first degree on environmental science or water resources and all that, now you tell us that in my community, which is over 500,000 in population, we've had this problem about water scarcity over the past 10 years. Now, this is you giving statistics where you're telling us where you're from, the number of persons in this community, how long this problem has been there, and all that. So, use detailed statistics and data to explain the situation. Last part of this situation should also include the time this thing is happening, the year or date that all these things happen. If it's a problem you've identified, when what did it happen? What date did it take place? It will help. Details like this will help the Chevening reading committee to verify or to have a clear picture of what you're trying to say. So if you've gotten to this extent in this video, try to use the STAR approach in answering your Chevening question. And the STAR approach, STAR, is a situation where you start by highlighting the situation of events or identifying a problem that you want to tackle or that you tackled as a leader. That is the first part of the first paragraph of your leadership and influence essay. That is what it should capture. Now, the second part of the STAR approach or the STAR method is the task. Now, in the task, you're expected to explain the task or what was required. What action or what is the responsibility that was expected of you during this situation? What were your responsibilities and assignments as expected of you as a leader or person of influence in this situation? The task might come as a result of your responsibility as a person of influence. It might come as a result of you being a person who occupies so and so position in your community or your organization. These tasks might come as a result of you just having an interest in solving specific problems in your community. So the Chevening scholarship reviewers, they would want to see, after you've identified the situation, they would want to see the task, what was expected of you, or what do you think was expected of you as a person of influence, as a leader, to solve specific situations when it relates to that problem or that situation. Now, the third part of the STAR approach is action. Now, the action part is the part where you would have to now state the steps you took to implement on various actions towards solving this problem or towards meeting the needs of the situation you've identified earlier. What are the skills that you acted upon? What are the actions you took? It might just be you meeting the community leaders. It might be you mobilizing others in your community to make sure resources are available towards meeting the needs of that situation. It might be you speaking with leaders or influencers, other influencers, to mobilize them towards meeting the needs of the community. Then the last part of it is you stating the results. What are the results of your actions? State the outcome of your actions. Now, in this part also, remember in the situation part or where you identified the problem or where you stated the event that required you to take action. You used data, you used statistics, you highlighted the target population affected. Now, in the result part, you should also be able to use data and statistics to highlight the difference that was made from the point of the situation or the point where you identified the problem. Now you've taken action. What result or what was the outcome? Was it a positive result? Was it a negative result? Now it is the data or the statistics you've given us that would make us understand the difference that was made from the point where you identified this problem to the point where you've taken action and where you now have an outcome. You should also be able to tell us who benefited from your action or what the impact of your action in that community, that organization, or that target population. So this is the approach you would have to follow when answering the Chevening question. You should be able to capture all of these in your essays, following it sequentially, the STAR approach, the situation in your first paragraph, in each of the examples you're giving. Now, this is not you. Don't go about explaining situation, task, no, with a heading. It's just you telling us a story of what you did when you identified this situation, the actions you took, and the results of the outcome of these actions. All right. So at the end of the day, you're expected to give 2 or 3 examples. I would recommend you give 2 to 3 examples of how you've demonstrated leadership and influence in your workspace or your community. So remember the question again is explain how you meet these requirements using clear examples. They didn't say using one example or using an example. They said using clear examples. So I would recommend you use 2 or 3 examples of your own leadership and influencing skills to support your answer. So each of the example you're giving, recommendation is you use the STAR approach: situation, task, action, and result.